Now, let's go over it. This is a prisonplanet.com article directly quoting the Financial Times of London that came out last night. It was the top link on the Drudge Report. At about 8 p.m., I was up here working. One of the guys came over and handed me the article with it highlighted, and then I had Aaron post it, and then Paul Watson did a story this morning. So this is getting major attention, and that's good. Top Clinton official, only a terror attack can save Obama. Then Watson, chillingly, with his precise research, goes through all the previous statements of the think tanks calling for staged terror attacks. Now, let me actually just read to you from the Financial Times of London itself, so you can see this. Here is the Financial Times of London, and this story is now the official talking point. There are hundreds of papers, all simultaneously, reporting this worldwide today. So they are purposefully destroying Obama. They are purposely admitting he has collapsed and saying he needs a terror attack. Listen to this quote. Okay, this is by Mr. Shapiro, top advisor to Bill Clinton and advisor to Barack Hussein Obama. The bottom line here is that Americans don't believe in President Obama's leadership, says Rob Shapiro, another former Clinton official and supporter of Obama. He has to find some way between now and November of demonstrating that he is a leader who can command confidence and, short of a 9/11 event or Oklahoma City bombing, I can't think of how he could do that. Now, I just read you that quote. I just went over that quote for you here on air. Now, you dovetail that with the mindset of these people and with the Pentagon just 4 years ago or 3 years ago under Rumsfeld, Donald Rumsfeld, and they released the audio tape of this with these top generals saying, sir, we need another 9/11. We've got to have it or our agenda's going to stall. And he said, yeah, but that's tough. That's tough to do. He comes within a Bible page, just microscopic thin, membrane thin distance of saying they staged 9/11. It is so incredible to see them. And you see all these neocons writing headlines about how great 9/11 was, how they did another one. Internal Republican Party chairman, that came out in the news a few years ago saying we need another 9/11 or McCain won't get elected. You see this is bipartisan. This is their crisis creation mentality. But it is so important to get this report out to everyone. Top Clinton official, only a terror attack can save Obama. Now, I'm going to go back into this in a moment, but here is another report. The October surprise is coming. And, of course, it is. Fox News, outsider wins Alabama GOP governor nomination. Self-described outsider Robert Bentley won Alabama's Republican nomination for governor Tuesday night over established candidate Bradley Brine with a strong showing in rural areas. See, people are going and voting out Democrats who are seen as establishment, Specter in the primary, Republicans that are seen as establishment, running against Rand Paul. He wins in Kentucky, Hawaii, Utah, Colorado, Massachusetts. You know the cases. This is not one party in favor, one party out of favor. The reason the system is panicking, they can always just exchange, take a left step, take a right step. Nobody ever looks at the body these legs are carrying or the brain, the global central banks. They look at the legs or they look at the wing, the left wing or the right wing, not the bird that the wings are attached to. That's what we focus on here is this carrion crow, is this buzzard, this vulture, this blood-drinking, corrupt, parasitic, vampiric system of oppression and corruption. So the reason they're in panic mode is, and I told you this a year and a half ago, because I saw Republicans and Democrats being booed at every town hall. And the media spun it and said it was just the leftists. Again, getting ready to scapegoat Obama. The left's doing that because they're all part of the same power structure. Fox News and the right wing are playing along with that. And they're trying to manage it, impose as anti-establishment so they can hold on. The only one that's done it is Rick Perry so far. He's the only person to win as an incumbent in a primary in the last year and a half because he started claiming he was shooting coyotes in the city limits and wearing cowboy hats and being seen with guns every day and talking about secession and fighting the New World Order. I mean, he put on the coloration of an Alex Jones, and so he was able to survive. My friends, this is so massive, what's happening. The elite are going to hit you and hit you hard. To keep you in the left-right paradigm, they're going to have the NAACP say, if you're against government health care, if you're against socialism, if you're against the carbon tax, you are a Klan member. They've said that in the last 2 days. To scare black people and to keep them on the reservation. Metcha, La Raza. Hey, if Arizona doesn't want to collapse and have their whole state taken over and have thousands of dead and be the kidnapping capital of the United States, they're racist. But it isn't working. But that's another example of false flag terror, where they're invoking race cold-bloodedly, knowing it has nothing to do with it, to manipulate and control people. The oil spill, clearly they gave orders to the operators that they knew on record in the Coast Guard report would cause the well to blow up. They blocked the response. They blocked the cleanup. They blocked the foreign skimmer ships to make the crisis as big as they can. They're gearing up for an Iran attack and now openly admitting it. While all this is going on, they're setting up their new global banking takeover, their new global government, the end of the dollar, as the world reserve currency in the background. That's the key to what's happening, and we'll get to the most important information straight ahead, the collapse of this republic, how it is being engineered, and how we can defeat these people straight ahead. Live, my friends. Thank you for joining us. Larry Pratt and Richard Reeves scheduled today. Richard Reeves in studio. When I get on air and I tell you this is one of the most important, if not the most important broadcasts I've ever done, it's just all the facts are out on the table, everything we predicted, everything we got from the globalist documents and think tanks and leaks is just confirmed. This is their plan. This is their program, the designed collapse of society. And I'm going to talk about that collapse and how we can fight against this by exposing the culprits and the fact that it is by design. They're going to collapse society, blame their puppets, and then offer their solution of even more tyranny and the nanny state and the carbon tax control system through the crisis they're now orchestrating. And I'm going to cover that in a moment. But first, I cannot illustrate to you, the viewers and listeners of this radio broadcast and the folks watching at prisonplanet.tv, that this report by Paul Watson, reporting on what was said in the Financial Times of London yesterday, is so essential. Top Clinton official. Only a terror attack can save America. A former senior advisor to President Bill Clinton says that the one thing which can rescue Barack Obama's increasingly tenuous grip on power, as his approval rating continues to plunge, is a terror attack on the scale of Oklahoma City or 9/11. Another startling reminder that such events only ever serve to benefit those in authority. Buried in a Financial Times article about Obama's growing credibility crisis and fears on behalf of Democrats that they could lose not only the White House, but the Senate and the House to Republicans, Robert Shapiro makes it clear that Obama is relying on an October surprise in the form of a terror attack to rescue his presidency. And an attack on Iran is a terror attack. That'll drive up oil, start real terror attacks. Iran's sure to strike back. I mean, it's going to be hellish. They'll be able to crack down on political dissent, take over the web. As they've been saying, they need this new cybersecurity bill to shut the web off during a war. You can see it all coming together. This is the greatest danger this country has been in since its foundation, since we were battling to start the country. Here's the quote. The bottom line here is that Americans don't believe in President Obama's leadership, said Shapiro, adding, quote, he has to find some way between now and November of demonstrating that he is a leader who can command confidence, and short of a 9/11 event or an Oklahoma City bombing, I can't think of how he could do just that. This is why we talk about stage terror so much, because it is the ace in the hole. It is the royal flush. It is the major trump card that they play. And by exposing this, we're able to stop these people. And the fact that the public is starting to wake up. I went over and saw my parents late last night when I was driving home at about 10. And I got the book in the car. I forget the title, but it's the best-selling New York Times #1 best-selling author who wrote Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. And my dad's like, this book is about stage terror. You know, the book title deals with a theater fire that happened in Venice, but it talks about how it's nonfiction, how he met with the elite of Italy and the prime minister and others, who I know on record exposed that our government staged terror attacks in Italy in the 70s and 80s to blame it on their political enemies. It's called Operation Gladio. But the point that a New York Times #1 bestseller's new book out that's already a New York Times bestseller, and I meant to bring it in. In fact, guys, will you grab my keys and run out? It's in the passenger seat of my car. That my dad just, grabs, literature, or, top nonfiction book, and within 15 pages, it's a book really about false flag terror. I mean, it's just everywhere. You go see movies like Children of Men. It's all about the government staging terror attacks and putting a sterilization chemical into the population. I mean, most movies I see now, even in fiction. So the point is, there's been a huge awakening to the fact that all of this is going on. There has been a renaissance in understanding, almost a revelation in understanding of this, and everywhere I see it in popular culture.